Welcome into NFL Daily by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. He is Matthew Peterson. Appreciate all of you for making Chat Sports a part of your day. We're in day 4 of NFL free agency, and while some big names have been on the move to other teams and some other organizations have been able to retain their stars, there are some marquee names still available left on the NFL free agency market, so we're going to break down the top available NFL free agents. We start with Stephon Gilmore. Traded to the Carolina Panthers last year, formerly of the New England Patriots, had an all-pro season in 2019 when he was the Defensive Player of the Year. There's been some chatter, some rumors behind him going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. At this point of his career, maybe he's not the same player, Matthew, he was back in 2019, but coming off a Pro Bowl season in 2021 and can still play. He displayed that in 8 games last year following the trade with the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I wouldn't sleep too much on Gilmore. I mean, he was the Defensive Player of the Year not long ago. And so I think whatever team ends up with Stephon Gilmore will be very happy and probably look back and go, how far did he fall in free agency?
Yeah.
How did we get him so cheap? So whichever team lands him, I think they're going to be happy about it. Teams that could get him, like you said, the Steelers. They already added Myles Jack. Maybe they want to beef up that defense a little more as they got some aging pieces in their secondary.
Another really good free agent available in the secondary is Tyrann Mathieu. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs signed Justin Reid to a monster contract. So that kind of told you right then and there that the Chiefs were going to move away from Tyrann Mathieu. Has a lot of suitors out there, and I love Mathieu's game. Yes, he's a little bit older, but he can literally play every position on the defensive side of the football outside of defensive tackle. He was used that way with Kansas City and in Arizona. You want him to play safety, he can do that. Cornerback, outside, inside in the slot. He can even rush the passer too. He is going to have a market. Interesting that he hasn't signed anywhere yet, Matthew Peterson, but it seems as though he's kind of feeling around to see where he wants to go, and at this point of his career, probably trying to chase another ring.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's a little disappointed that he hasn't been signed already. Probably looked for a 2-3 year deal, but he's getting up in the age column, and he saw younger safeties like Marcus Williams and Marcus May get paid already. So teams that wanted a safety, they were looking for top guys, they passed on Matthew. So I think at this point, he may be, after all, a 1-year contract for a Super Bowl contending team where he kind of gets to pick where he wants to go because maybe he's ring chasing another one more than looking for the bag.
So far in NFL free agency, a lot of big storylines, a lot of trades, a lot of signings. My favorite signing so far, Hassan Reddick to the Philadelphia Eagles, $15 million per year for a premier edge rusher. Real quick, your favorite signing so far?
Allen Robinson. Got him for cheap in L.A., and that helps them stay contenders for back-to-back Super Bowl runs.
Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Allen Robinson, maybe even OBJ with Matthew Stafford. But right now, I want you to get into the comment section as a viewer and let us know your favorite signing so far in NFL free agency. It's been a transitional offseason for the Seattle Seahawks. They traded away Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos, and in that same draft in which they took Russ in the 3rd round, they took Bobby Wagner in the 2nd round. Both players Canton-bound into the NFL Hall of Fame. So it came as a surprise on the same day they traded away Russell Wilson that they released Bobby Wagner. Yes, he's older, but this past year, 170 tackles, Matthew Peterson, he can still play. Is he the same player that he was in the Legion of Boom days? Maybe not, but still a very good player and one of the best linebackers in the sport still.
If he's not the same player, he's very close to it. He may not be that 2016 All-Pro, 2017, that kind of era for him, but still, he's still going to be performing at a high level. And I think any team that ends up with Wagner, this will be another 1-year contract, maybe a little bit like a Tyrann Mathieu contract where they go, why did he fall so late in free agency? I still like this guy a lot. And I think whatever team ends up with him will be very happy that he fell to them.
From one big name to another, Fletcher Cox, defensive tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles, released. So immediately, he becomes a free agent. Drafted in 2012 in the 1st round out of Mississippi State, went on to be a franchise icon for the Philadelphia Eagles, and was an outstanding player for a really long time. There were years where he was right up there with Aaron Donald as the best defensive tackle in the sport, and for a long time the production was ridiculous and helped lead the Philadelphia Eagles to the Super Bowl in 2017, taking down Bill Belichick and Tom Brady with the backup quarterback, Fletcher Cox, and his premium pass rush ability is a big reason for that. He has been released by Philly. Now, according to Mike Garafolo, there is a chance that he returns to the Eagles maybe on a contract that is manipulated to a certain degree to free up some money for Philadelphia. But either way, Fletcher Cox, a monster name who is now a free agent for any team to sign at the defensive tackle spot. I'm looking for him to, if he doesn't go back to the Eagles, maybe latch on with the title contender.
Yeah, a couple of teams could sure use a run stopper. One name that was tossed around a little bit, the Chargers. I don't know if they have enough money to get out there and sign someone like Fletcher Cox, but there's a handful of teams that surely would take his services, no doubt about it.
Now, you can watch us on YouTube on NFL Daily. You can also watch us on Rumble, because here at Chat Sports, we're not one-way stiffs. We're versatile, kind of like John Morant, LeBron James. Some might say Deebo Samuel as a wide receiver and a running back. We like to do a variety of things and put our content on a variety of platforms, YouTube as well as Rumble. Free, uncensored, and premium content available right now on Rumble. And subscribe to us on NFL Daily by hitting the green subscribe button. It's rumble.com/NFL Daily. We're going to the platforms that you as the homies, you as the people use. Rumble, part of that equation. La'el Collins released by the Dallas Cowboys, and he immediately becomes a premier free agent target for a lot of teams out there for a couple of reasons. One, still somewhat young considering how long he's been in the league. Two, a premier player at the right tackle position. And also, there are a bunch of teams who are in need of a top-tier offensive tackle. Now, a couple of the teams reaching out to La'el Collins, the Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots, and the Cincinnati Bengals. We know right now he is going to visit with the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, they've already made a couple of additions up front to protect Joe Burrow. La'el Collins on top of that right there could be intriguing.
Yeah, if La'el Collins ends up with any of those three teams, it'll feel like a phenomenal fit.
Yeah.
The Bengals, of course, let Joe Burrow get sacked 9 times against the Tennessee Titans in the divisional round. And then you have the Dolphins, who have never succeeded at protecting Tua all that well. And then, of course, the Patriots, who just traded away one of their better offensive linemen in Mason, only to get a 5th-round pick back. So maybe they want to help out second-year quarterback now, Mac Jones, and give him some better protection up front by signing one of the best right tackles in the NFL.
Juju Smith Shuster has shown and proven throughout his NFL career, ever since coming out of USC, as a former second-round pick, that he can put forward elite-level production. 1,000-yard potential for Juju last couple of years. Been somewhat injury-prone, but for a team that's in need of a slot receiver, I still think Juju Smith Shuster can really play. Now, last year, 15 grabs, 129 yards. Season cut short due to injury, but there are a lot of teams out there, Matthew, who are looking for a slot wide receiver, and I still think that Juju, yes, he likes to spend a lot of time on TikTok, but he likes to spend a lot of time putting up big numbers. He might be able to put up some big numbers with a future team as well. That's why he's one of the top open free agent targets.
There's a handful of free agents out there that I like a lot. Juju, not one of them. I think he peaked in 2018 in that Pro Bowl season. And since then, like you said, Chase, he's been way more focused on his dances in the middle of the field at the opposing team's logo than doing what he needs to do to help his team win. And I'm not trying to bash too hard on the guy, despite everything I just said about him, but I don't think Juju Smith-Schuster is a diamond in the rough, late free agency pickup for a team that's going to be jumping up and down. I'm a little sour on the guy. I just don't think he's got the best career ahead of him in terms of production value, or at least what a team will be looking for by paying him in free agency. Next guy to keep an eye on for Zadarius Smith. This is a tough one, because if you're watching this right now, maybe you're thinking, I thought he signed with the Ravens. No. Back it up, beep, 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 because he opted not to go through with that, and now he's back on the market. So Zadarius Smith tosses his name back in the free agency. Maybe he just missed the attention. Like, it's always a little fun. You get the tweet about you, so-and-so signing where. Maybe he just wants to relive that moment again. But he only played 1 game this past season for Green Bay. But before that, in 2 seasons, 2019, 2020, combined for nearly 25 sacks. He's one of the best edge rushers on the market still. And so I think Zadarius Smith is going to be an attractive name for a lot of teams looking for some help getting after the quarterback.
Let me ask you this question. Do you want year-round and free daily videos covering the National Football League? Do you want the best NFL draft coverage, NFL free agency coverage, NFL offseason coverage, and NFL in-season coverage? If the answer to those questions is yes, you got to subscribe to us here at Chat Sports. We continue to grow like crazy. We're informative, educational, entertaining, and consistent with our coverage. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV, or even easier, just hit that red subscribe button down below. Terron Armstead, New Orleans Saints, really good left tackle. Only played 8 games in 2021. 1 sack allowed during those 8 games for a New Orleans Saints team that played a bunch of quarterbacks this past year. Started with Jameis Winston. They played Trevor Siemian. They played Ian Book. Not an ideal season for New Orleans, but the consistent theme of Terron Armstead and him throughout his NFL career, been a very good pass protector who's also very good and a mauler in the ground game too. He's a little bit older. He's going to demand a high price tag. I think that he's going to wait for the quarterback movement to kind of settle with a couple of pieces to be determined, but Armstead can certainly still play. That's why he's on this list.
And I think whatever team ends up with Armstead will be very happy when they see him out on the field. That's been the tough thing, getting him on the field. He's had a handful of injuries that have plagued him the last couple of seasons. But Chase, like you mentioned, when he's on the field, he's one of the best tackles in the NFL. So if a team is able to sign him, hopefully they'll see him play all 17 games next season. That's been his biggest Achilles heel.
Jadeveon Clowney has not been signed yet. And if you remember last free agency period, as me and Matthew are just so excited to talk about Jadeveon Clowney, wasn't signed until late last year in the free agency period. Hasn't been signed yet. And Matthew, I kind of look at sacks like wins for a baseball pitcher.
Okay.
Doesn't tell the full story. I look more at quarterback pressures, quarterback hits.
Yeah.
Jadeveon Clowney's been able to do a lot of that. Has been able to rack up a lot of sacks. Not necessarily, but 9 this past year. Definitely benefited playing opposite of Myles Garrett.
Clowney saved his career. I mean, not to be dramatic, but he had a bad season before in Tennessee, a bad season in Seattle before that. So he really got himself back on track to get paid again. I think Clowney thought he was going to get signed early, and he's watching a bunch of other edge rushers go way before him, and now the value for him is going down. So he may be going for a lot cheaper than he once thought. I still think he'll probably go for about a 2-year, $18 million contract. I think he earned himself a multi-year contract after a 9-sack performance the year before in Cleveland. I know the Browns are looking to bring him back to pair up with Garrett once again. Let's see if they can afford him or if another team can outbid Cleveland and take Clowney to their franchise.
Lastly, Odell Beckham Jr. revived his career and a dysfunctional season last year by getting traded to the Los Angeles Rams. And I thought he was fantastic in Sean McVay's offense, playing alongside Matthew Stafford. He definitely benefited playing alongside Cooper Kupp, but he was really able to let people know and make people realize that Odell Beckham Jr. has good football left. He is still an elite player in this league. He was great in the playoffs, great in the regular season. The big question for him, how does he rebound coming off a second torn ACL? Now, he hasn't been signed yet. I think that's a big reason for that, the injury concerns. But I think he'd still play at this point of his career. And whichever team gets him, they're getting a very good and productive wide receiver, especially if he doesn't have to be the number 1 option. Yes, the Rams signed Allen Robinson. OBJ back to the Rams, still in the cards.
Yeah, for Odell Beckham Jr., he took nearly a year to recover from the ACL tear he had in 2020 Week 7. He did not return to the field until 2021 Week 4. So almost 11-month, recovery. He tore his ACL in February this past year. So I don't know if he's going to be ready to play until 10 months before then, which could be right before the playoff. Hopefully for his sake and wherever he goes, he's able to recover a little quicker than that. But I think that's going to be a little bit of caution right there. I'm guessing his free agency will actually go into the 2022 regular season, and he'll end up just picking a team that's closest to winning a Super Bowl so he can chase another ring instead of signing with someone now and hoping that by the time he's ready to return to the field, they've got themselves in a spot to win the Super Bowl.
Before we hop on out of here, a lot of good free agent targets left, a lot of notable names, and a lot of movement still to take place. And, of course, we'll continue to keep you updated right here at Chat Sports on NFL Daily. But first, who is the best NFL free agent left? Let us know right now.